How Arsenal will set up in the Premier League this season. Today we're going to be going through the starting 11 and the tactics, but also some variations of how Mikel Arteta could get the best out of his new and improved squad. I'm Statman Dave. Subscribe if you are new around here, and of course, smash that like button. Arsenal last season were absolutely fantastic. In the Premier League, they played a variant of a 4-2-3-1 that in possession rotated to a 3-2-5 structure with the left back, usually Zinchenko, moving into defensive midfield. Zinchenko would play this inverted role and basically would play in between the opponent's lines, getting on the ball and looking to thread passes into the attacking midfielders and the wide players. One of the big things with Arsenal this season, though, is a slight change. Of course, Zinchenko will start the season injured, so expect Jurrien Timber to play this kind of left-sided inverted role. Jurrien Timber is a player that I absolutely love. Came through in the Amsterdam Academy for Ajax, but I think the big thing about him is his quality on the ball is absolutely fantastic. Versus Arsenal players in the Premier League, if you look at his stats in the Eredivisie, Jurrien Timber would be top for touches, passes completed, passes into the final third, and second for defenders in terms of progressive passes behind, of course, Ben White. Jurrien Timber could very much play this Zinchenko role. I thought it would actually be on the other side of the pitch, maybe using Jurrien Timber as that inverted right back moving inside and maybe shifting Gabriel into a starting left back position. We, of course, see Pep Guardiola do that with Nathan Ake, with John Stones moving from that position into out, or alternatively, John Stones moving from a centre-back position inside, something that Timber could do. Then gives Arsenal really, really good variation. I love the signing of Jurrien Timber. It's absolutely fantastic. When we look at his stats versus European defenders last season, Eredivisie, he's in the top 1% for progressive passes, passes completed, pass completion rate, total passing distance, passes into the final third, passes into the penalty area, carries and passes received. He is a perfect ball-playing option for Arsenal on this left-hand side and will do really well combining with this kind of left-hand triangle. I think Arsenal tactically will be slightly different, though. I think they are moving on and trying certain things in pre-season. Again, Gabriel Jesus will miss the start of the campaign through injury. Kai Havertz deputised in the Community Shield as that false nine. Expect him to do that in certain games. For me, though, I don't think it's his best position. I think Kai Havertz, for me, should be playing in this kind of left-sided central midfield role. I think long-term for Arsenal, when they get all their players back fit and they get the kind of the first 11 there, I expect Declan Rice maybe to drop to that defensive midfield half-back position. Not only dropping back to get on the ball in the deep areas, forcing the opposition to press high and then hitting a ball into the feet of one of the forwards, but also I expect Declan Rice to anchor the midfield and Kai Havertz to play central midfield. I think when you look at Kai Havertz and in terms of his profile as a player, he really needs a striker ahead of him to take that first kind of contact or take that first attention of the defender and then wandering into the left-hand side of the box. The left-hand side of the box is where Kai Havertz is really, really deadly. It's one of those things, left-footed striker, has scored 46 goals in the left-hand side of the box versus 23 goals in the right-hand side of the box. One of the big things that Kai Havertz needs to do is not only get his confidence back when finishing on that left foot, but improve his finishing on his right foot. If you look over his career for Bayer Leverkusen and for Chelsea in the Premier League, he underperforms the expected goals on his right foot by -5. That is something that he really needs to improve. He's also underperforming with his head as well, so definitely another area of his game he needs to improve, especially with Arsenal having this really creative side, or this creative triangle of Saka, Odegaard and Ben White that really open up teams from a creative sense. And I think one of the moves that we'll see for this season for Arsenal, Saka chopping inside from the wing and then crossing to that back post for Kai Havertz, who does need to improve his aerial prowess and his ability to hit the target. I can remember loads of clips from last season of him arriving in really good areas in the box. Chelsea crossed the ball and he misses the chance. There's something for Arsenal that Granit Xhaka did really well, is attack the penalty area at the back post. Again, Arsenal, with Gabriel Jesus or with Trossard or with Martinelli playing in that position, they deploy a false nine. I think that is a really good sort of move that pulls the centre-back's attention away, that opens up space in the box for someone like Kai Havertz or, of course, Martinelli attacking that area. Could be a really good tactical situation for Arsenal, kind of playing these three really offensive midfielders in their attacking line. Saka on one wing, Martinelli on the Kai Havertz and Odegaard, and Trossard. We'll see certain movements such as Trossard dropping in, Havertz and Odegaard playing high. We'll see other movements of Trossard spinning, maybe Odegaard dropping in and getting on the ball. I think that variation of a forward line is where Arsenal should go. I think they're a lot better with Trossard as a 9 or Martinelli as a 9 versus someone like an Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah's got a role in this Arsenal team. He's more a traditional advanced forward. He will stretch your defence. He'll run in behind the defence, but he won't make that movement into midfield. If Arsenal were to maybe look at this as an option, maybe throwing someone like Trossard into a central midfield area, off the ball, Arsenal defending with Odegaard a little deeper in a 4-2-3-1. With the ball, Trossard playing in the inside left channel, Odegaard inside right, and Rice sitting there, which allows two kind of creators that will try and get on the ball versus Kai Havertz is going to try and move the other way. He's going to be making those moves into the box. I like how Arsenal's squad is being built. It's got a lot of different weapons and variations in there that Arteta could really use. I think as well the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe coming back into the team is super exciting. He could play a number of different options across the forward line. We've seen him do really well wide left. We've seen him do well as a number 10. And I think his role back in the team as being this kind of dribbling attacking midfielder that's going to take you on, shift it, or look to get a shot away could give Arsenal good variation. I think that's the beauty of what Arsenal have done over the summer. They've spent a lot of money, over 200 million, but I'd say the signing of Declan Rice is absolutely brilliant. You're looking at his statistics in the top 10 in the Premier League last season for progressive passes, tackles plus interceptions, passes into the final third and switches of play. Rice is going to give Arsenal a lot from a ball playing and ball winning option as this defensive midfielder. On top of that, you've got, as we mentioned before, Jurrien Timber that can play the Zinchenko role early doors, but also when Zinchenko comes back and plays the inverted role, could cover for William Saliba, could cover for Ben White at right back, and it gives Arteta that ability to rotate his team, knowing that someone of Timber's quality can literally play left back, right back and centre back, but also could do a job at defensive midfield as well. A fantastic signing. And then Kai Havertz is a bit of a gamble. The quality of Kai Havertz in the Bundesliga was ridiculous. Like a very, very good footballer. And someone like Arteta, who's got the best out of, the likes of Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, he's very, very good with attackers. I think you could see Kai Havertz really take his game to another level, playing as this kind of Ramdeuter from an inside position. I don't massively want to see him play as a number 9 that much for Arsenal. I'd rather see him play wide right, wide left, or in central midfield or attacking midfield to really get on the ball. That's what that's where I think you're going to get the best out of him. I think for Arsenal as well, one of the things that we don't really consider is that, as much as we talk about the signings of how Havertz is going to fit in central midfield, Rice could play as a DM or alternatively could play as a number 8 in the higher area, with the likes of Jurrien Timber playing multiple roles. We forget the likes of Saka, Odegaard and Martinelli are a year older, considering that Saka scored or assisted 25 Premier League goals this season, one of only 2 players to get over 10 assists. You've got the likes of Odegaard, that was the highest non-penalty goal-scoring midfielder in the history of the league, also top for progressive passes in the league. You've got the likes of Martinelli that scored 15 goals as well, the most of any player under the age of 21. That lineup is going to only get better in that sense. I think one of the other tactical variations that we've got to talk about is kind of Arsenal building with a back 3. We're used to them building with a back 3 with, let's say 3 defenders and Zinchenko inside. But what we might see as well is Arsenal, especially I think in the early parts of the season, with Jurrien Timber playing a slightly inside, is Arsenal building with a 3, with Declan Rice operating as a bit of a halfback, moving from midfield to drop deep to get on the ball. And then Arsenal kind of maybe rotating their attack around, the likes of Odegaard moving inside, Saka moving inside, Ben White providing the width, and Arsenal kind of attacking with a slightly different makeup of their front 5 in a sense. Obviously could be super flexible, super hybrid in a sense of, we could see Ben White slightly deeper, we could see Jurrien Timber high and wide, Martinelli inside, Jurrien Timber providing the width. I think there's a lot of variation, but just take a little note that there could be this kind of slightly different base diamond build up for Arsenal when they want to go, play against the big teams, play against the likes of Manchester City, where you might need an extra bit of defensive solidity in the centre of the park. We saw that against Manchester City with Partey and Rice operating in this area. If we take a look at the average positions, it kind of paints this slightly new picture where there's 2 more holding midfielders there, number 41 and number 5, Thomas Partey, versus what we saw last season with Granit Xhaka moving every single time into the inside left channel. So that's something to note, that roaming role of Rice dropping in between the centre-backs. And I think when you look at what he did against Man City, 100% of his duels won, 2 out of his tackles, 33 passes completed, good performance. Thomas Partey as well, 1 chance created, 80 9% pass accuracy, 2 out of his 3 tackles won. You're building a slightly different variation, but as I mentioned before, I think a lot of this season comes on Bukayo Saka. He's a player that I absolutely love, that last season really came alive in an attacking sense, really started to dictate Arsenal's offence, 14 goals, 11 assists in the league. Just had a really good game on the right wing, perfect right winger, left-footed, young as well. I think that's one of the big things. I think we forget that Saka is 21 years old. There is so much more football for him to play. Arsenal will play kind of a 3-6-1 shape, I think, at times with, this base of Thomas Partey and Rice dropping in. Other times I think we'll see, the more traditional Arsenal with Partey being joined by Timber in midfield or Rice being joined by Timber in midfield. Of course, when Zinchenko comes back, he'll play that role as well. I'd love to see more Trossard in this advanced area as the 9 just to, take the place of the injured Gabriel Jesus. I think we'll see this build-up at times against certain teams. Arsenal got a lot of variation, and it's very, very exciting. The Champions League is back for Arsenal. Last season had one of the best seasons in years, second in the Premier League. I think the squad now is ready for a real title challenge. Get into the comments below, Arsenal fans. Do you think you are ready for a title challenge? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later.